Did you ever see that speech with Mike Pence and Tucker Carlson?
No. Huh?
Tucker Carlson essentially ended Mike Pence's political career.
Really?
In one speech, yeah. Because this was when Pence was running for president. And Tucker was sitting there with him, and Pence was talking about getting helicopters and tanks and weapons to Ukraine. And he was explaining how they were being incompetent because they weren't providing them with what they needed. And Tucker went on this rant. See if you can find it. I bet you could find it under that. Here it is. Listen to this.
Well, this is the whole thing. You should make sure the Tucker part because it's 4 minutes long.
Let me hear what he says. Just start right where your cursor is. Click where your cursor is.
January, we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President. Have you? I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States.
Right.
And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern.
What?
Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for president of the United States because I think this country's in a lot of trouble. I think Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad. And as President of the United States, we're going to restore law and order in our cities. We're going to secure our border. We're going to get this economy moving again. And we're going to make sure that we have men and women on our courts at every level that will stand for the right to life and defend all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution. Anybody that says that we can't be the leader of the free world and solve our problems at home has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth. We can do both. And as President of the United States, we will secure our border, we will support our military, we will revive our economy and stand by our values, and we will also lead the world for freedom under my administration. I promise you.
Amen. Vice President Mike Pence, thank you very much.
Just that. That's not my concern. That's not my concern. What the fuck are you talking about? Why? How would you ever answer anything that way? That is not my concern. That's not your concern. No. You don't think he just made a really good point that we're really confused as to, first of all, aren't we like $1 trillion in debt? How do we have?
No, we're $35.5 trillion in debt. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. How do we have the money? How do we have the money to send to Iraq and we don't have the money to fix our cities? How can you say that's not my concern? What that is the opposite of what Trump is. Yeah. That is nonsense talk. I mean, not that he doesn't have nonsense talk, but that is not a person's real feelings. No. That is just political speech. That's just, we're going to clean up our country. We're going to preserve the right to life.
It's memorizing sound bites.
Exactly.
Like, and that's the entire problem with Washington right there.
Yeah, exactly.
They memorize sound bites. They say one thing, they do the other thing.
Exactly.
They've lost the trust of their constituents. They've lost the trust of the American public. Yeah. And by the way, it's administration after administration. It's politician after politician.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a surprise that people don't like politicians. I mean, look at that guy. Yeah. He's a fucking robot.
He's weird.
He's a weird dude.
He's weird. You know, they kept trying to say JD's weird. JD's not weird at all. I met that guy. He's fucking cool. He's normal. Smart as shit. I could hang with that guy. He could be my friend. Yeah. Like, he's not even a little weird.
No, that guy's weird.
I mean, I guess anybody who's that smart is weird. You know, people that go to Yale, people that, like, he's weird in that way. Like, that's an odd dude. You don't see a lot of those. But normal. That guy's bizarre. Like, his face doesn't move. Did you get Botox at 80? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're weird.
I think they have low IQs and they're pushing that thing to the red. That's why they're actually so afraid to do anything, because they're like, I'm really pushing this thing. I've got like a Hyundai, like a 105, but my parents were rich. So I went to Yale. Right. And if I break outside of my box, actually people are going to know that I'm a fucking retard. So.
Right. Well, I also think that if you're that you have ambition at that level, and you're so driven to become the alpha that you want to be the president, the amount of work that's involved in that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for reading. Doesn't leave a whole lot of room for watching documentaries and having important in-depth conversations with people, expanding your understanding of the world. It's very narrow. They're basically actors. Most of these people exhibit a lot of the traits that I see in actors. This desire to morph oneself to please the people around you, the saying the things that you think people want to hear because you want to get ahead. It's all like very similar. They're actors. And the fact that these actors can rise to a position where they can actually dictate what these military veterans do and don't do when they have no knowledge or experience in this.
No.
That's the fact that that's a real thing is fucking crazy. It's really crazy.
I mean, I think that's, by the time I left, I was so jaded, and the motivating factor was, I was like, no man will ever have control over my destiny again. Like I will not put a bit in my mouth for another man in the government. They will not be making decisions for me.
Yeah, I don't think we can recall a time in our history where we did trust the government. But which is such a weird thing to say. I used to think it was the Obama administration. But boy, Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy. Boy.
Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, just as an intelligent person, a statesman. I felt like he's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something, and then you get into office, and you're like, oh, God, what a fucking quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist, which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. Yeah. I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. I think that we've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Well, it's the sky is falling thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like you cry wolf or whatever. It's like you guys can only call me a fascist so many times. I mean, like the New York Times wrote that article a couple years ago, right? Where I'm like, it was the front of the coffee cup where it's like, do you want Trump 2024? Do you want low taxes? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm like, I want all that. Sounds good. And like you can only call me a fascist, racist, asshole. I mean, to be fair, like I can float into the asshole category.